Hey everyone, Hybrid here with a quick reminder before we get into this video that I'm still doing my Toys for Tots raffle. That's right, I'm raffling off all these cool prizes to get some funds together for a big Toys for Tots shopping spree. We're going to pick up a whole bunch of toys, get them put in the donation bin, try and make a bunch of kids' Christmas extra special this year. So check the video linked in the description down below to redirect you to my main video about this. I'll get you more information on how to purchase in. Without further ado, let's get into the video.
This is where the fun begins.
Hello there. How's it going?
Hey everyone, Hybrid Toy Reviews here, and today we are doing something incredibly different. Not a Star Wars review. This is the DC Multiverse Green Lantern Hal Jordan from the Gold Label collection from McFarlane Toys. Now, this is kind of new territory for me. I have never ever had a McFarlane Toys figure before. I guess I had, that might be a lie, I had a Star Trek figure from them, a Captain Picard and a Captain Kirk from like 2015. So like, I'm guessing from the ground up it's going to be pretty different because those kind of sucked. But I'm not a big DC guy. Green Lantern, and particularly Hal Jordan as far as Green Lantern goes, is like the only DC character I care about. So it's just one of those things where it was like, you know, hey, kind of want just that little tiny splash of DC in the collection. And when this figure came out, there were some things that I wasn't like incredibly geeked on about, but it generally looks really good. So when I saw it on my local Walmart shelf, I was like, hey, you're coming home with me. So without further ado, let's crack this open and see what McFarlane Toys are all about. As always, we're going to start by taking a look at the packaging, and I gotta say, it does look very, very nice. It has a nice matte black base with some white accents, which is where you'll get your DC Multiverse and then your Green Lantern Hal Jordan in a nice blue. Pops very well. You have McFarlane Gold Label Collection in foily gold. And then a giant window showing the figure and accessories off. Well, it says ages 12 and up, definitely indicating this is a bit of a more premium adult line. You have a trading card in the back, a stand, and then some comic art panels in light blue. Side of the box features the character name, and then this side of the box just features a wraparound window and another smaller version of the character name. Up top is your wraparound window, a hanger tab, 22 moving parts in McFarlane Toys. Is that 22 points of articulation, or is it just parts total? I don't know. You got a barcode, some legal stuff, and then around back, no bio, just the name and from what comic run it's inspired by, and then just a really cool photo of Hal Jordan as the Green Lantern. So, very premium, very nice looking. Ultimately, I do like how this looks. Let's open it up and see what we're getting here. So here's Green Lantern Hal Jordan out of the packaging, and let's go ahead and take a look at the accessories first. So, up front, you do actually get a trading card, and it is a really cool card. It is a white bordered card with the art from the back of the packaging, Green Lantern from the Green Lantern's comic run, and then around back is actually where you get your figure bio, which is very, very light. It's just an extremely base description, but it describes Hal Jordan well. So I do like that. That'll go somewhere. I don't know where. He comes with a stand. It is a very basic circle with one peg, but it has a nice embossed DC logo on it. Then underneath, just some mold circles. No like legal anything on this. So this looks very nice. It is a nice inclusion. I will never frown upon a stand, even if it's simple. Next, he comes with two constructs, and these, one of them I think is cool, the other, eh. So the really cool one to me is actually this Green Lantern logoed boxing glove, and that's kind of like a Hal Jordan trademark. Is he's really good at doing a big boxing glove or a giant fist, you know, and hitting people. And so this is a really, really cool accessory, one that I'm super happy that this came with. And it is hollow, has a little bit of a peg in the very end of it there, but I don't really think that does anything other than bump against the hand. And it slides over the hand somewhat snugly, which is nice. You want it to be snug. You don't want to like fall off super loose like. And once it's on, it's pretty secure, and then you can pose him, you know, getting ready to power punch, you know, whoever he's going for. So I do like how that looks. It's a very cool looking effect. And then he comes with a construct for like a rocketing jetpack kind of thing. And it's like, it's neat, and I kind of understand the application. He has a hole in the back between the shoulder blades. It pegs in, and I mean, like, I get it, you know, flying, and you're going as fast as the ring can take you, and you add the jetpack to give you, like, a little bit of a boost. Like, I get the idea of it. I would have rather he came with like the lantern power battery instead as an accessory, which would have meant either a swappable hand or changing the fist out for just like a C hand for carrying it. I just, there's been a long history, and like DC Ultimate Classics, whatever the DC line in like 2010 was, did this often where they just don't like giving Green Lantern the lantern. And I'm like, it's kind of a core thing here, but they just don't do it. So it is what it is. And sometimes they do, but it's always with the side characters. You know, like Kilowog will get a lantern, but God forbid Hal gets a lantern. So anyway, they are some cool pieces, and I do like the inclusion of both of them. But ultimately, at the core, I was really here for the Hal Jordan. So let's go ahead and bring him up to the camera and start taking a look. Now, something that McFarlane Toys has done with the DC line is they really like doing stylized, action poses. So don't get me wrong, this looks good, but he has some very actively windswept hair going on here. If you wanted to pose this figure in any sort of a neutral pose, it would look weird. However, I'm going to stick him on the shelf in some sort of a battle pose. Probably might even get a flight stand for him and then put the boxing glove on his hand and get him in like a mid-swing, and that'll look pretty good. But if you wanted a Green Lantern just to kind of have, standing there stoically next to some Justice League members, this might look a little weird with the hair, but I kind of get it. I mean, he wants to do a really cool figure, and, it's just, that means that sometimes you just can't do the neutral stuff so well. I really, really love the choice of green for the costume. It is very pearlescent. It catches the light. It's metallic. It bounces the light back. It just looks oh so good. And the only thing that I wish is that I didn't have the ginormous QC issue on the right shoulder. This is a little rough. I'm not super keen on that. Thankfully, the worst of it is like to the back, but I mean, like, that's not something that you miss. If you're looking at it from dead on, you don't super notice it, but if I wanted him in any sort of like a flying pose, like, you would totally see it. So keep an eye on the Instagram. I think I am going to contact McFarlane Toys and just like see if they can help a brother out. And I always like posting, if I get a good result with that, because then I can tell you that at least if there's an issue of anything that you buy, you are going to be taken care of. So the choice of green is very nice when it's applied correctly. The black is matte, but it does have just a slight sheen by nature of being made of plastic. It just is what it is. The white for the gloves has always been a favorite standout touch for me, and I really like that. It's a little satiny. It's not so glossy. It doesn't have the plasticky sheen to it, although, of course, they are plastic. And that green paint does translate very well to the ring, which is sculpted on the hand. And this is very much a modern suit. It's not like your classic comic suit where the dude just put on some spandex. Like, this has a lot of just texturing going on. There's a lot of plating in it. And it is just very, very modern comic book looking. And it just looks really, really cool. I really do ultimately like what we're getting here. This is a really nice sculpt. It's pretty satisfying. And I will say, as far as the engineering goes here, I think it's pretty good. It's not the most modern thing ever, but it's not like super dated either. So let's go ahead and run through that. So for the head, I believe it's a double ball. I can kind of see in the gaps a little bit there if you try hard enough. So he can look that far up, which is okay. You get him in like a flying pose with the chest, lifted up. It'll look like he's almost looking forward. He can go that far down and get some side to side and a bunch of pivot in there. His arms can come up above a T-pose on the hinge, which is nice. And then he kind of has not a butterfly joint, although it's got some range, not a huge degree of range, but it's in there. But it's kind of like one of those pegs with a ball on the end, so like the whole thing can go up and down and round and round. So that's kind of cool. And then you just have like a little like cup insert thing there that just kind of moves with it to keep it covered, which is nice. Of course, that means he can do 360 at the shoulder. He has a bicep swivel, which can do 360. He has double jointed pinned elbows. That's one of those things that's just a little bit dated. I don't mind pinned double joints, but it seems like a lot of the bigger companies are moving away from them. And, it does give you some gapping in the joints, but like, it's an action figure, It's an action figure. It's plastic made to look like fabric, meaning you're going to have stuff like this. It just is what it is. The wrist articulation is really cool. it's a hinge that then swivels at the top and the bottom. So right now, it's a little stiff and it's a little ratchety, but it's in the in and out pose. But if you turn the hand and then you turn it at the base, it becomes a vertical hinge. That's really cool. I do like that dynamic articulation there. It's one of those things where like a ball joint would have been fine, or just one way or the other as a hinge would have been all right. But the fact that you have the options, I do like that. He features a mid-torso ball joint, which allows him to crunch that far forward at the upper abdomen, which is nice, and then that far back, and that starts to show you the fact that the lower abdomen armor is actually an overlay. Underneath there, you actually get your legal stuff sculpted on them, so it's actually really, really a clever way to hide that. I really like that. But yeah, so you have a rubber overlay for the lower abdomen, and then that is actually covering another rubber overlay for like the crotch area. And sometimes on the McFarlane figures, it very much looks like a diaper. It's very puffy. This one is pretty streamlined and it hides a lot of the hip articulation, but it's very soft so it doesn't hinder it. So the legs can kick straight forward that far back, which is pretty decent. There's a upper thigh swivel kind of buried in there, and when you bring it out, you do start to see it in there a little bit. But it just is what it is. You got enough of it. That's all right. He has double jointed pinned knees, so he can go that far up. And again, another one of those dated things, but it just is what it is. It's not a gripe, but this is a figure line that I've never messed with before literally buying this one. So I just want to be thorough in case it's one that you've not messed with, but maybe you want to get your favorite Batman or whatever. The ankle articulation is much like the wrist, so there is a hinge in there, which can go really, really far. And then there is the ankle pivot, but it's kind of like you have to kind of work, it swivels at the top and the bottom of the joint. So you can work it, but you just have to kind of, it's not as fluid as like a Hasbro forward-facing pen. And then there is a toe joint, which can go all the way up into broken foot status. So he has some pretty good articulation. Ultimately, I do really think that as an action figure goes, he's pretty good. He is a little top-heavy sometimes. That stand is going to be nice for him, but it's not bad. And it's just, it's a nice figure. I mean, objectively speaking, I do actually like what we're getting here. To do a size comparison, so something worth noting is that this is more of a 7-inch scale. So if you wanted to put this next to any Marvel figure for whatever reason, you might prefer Marvel Select, because here he is next to a Black Series Imperial Stormtrooper and a Marvel Legends Infinity War Iron Man. And as you see, he just towers over them. And Hal Jordan is not like a super tall dude. He's just an average, average guy, roughly 6 foot tall, kind of. So he does not fit in 1/12 scale. He's more in that, 1/10, I think the scale is, or 1/10.5, or however it falls. So yeah, he looks really good, but he's not going to blend with anything that you have if you collect Hasbro stuff. So at the end of the day, what do I think of the McFarlane Toys Green Lantern Hal Jordan? Honestly, this figure's really cool. I'm really impressed by it. I didn't know what I was getting into, right? So I had heard things about McFarlane before. I definitely got hit with a McFarlane QC issue. It's not an uncommon problem for them to have some defects here and there. I had heard things about some of the sculpts being weak, about being flimsy, about just not being the best built action figure. And I mean, like, if you're comparing it to an import, nothing's good enough. But I think that for a domestically available, on the shelf at Walmart Green Lantern action figure, for the price of $19.99, I really like this. This is a really, really cool action figure. I'm really impressed by it. It's been very fun to pose, and the only thing that's really limiting is what would limit a Green Lantern himself, the lack of imagination. I kind of wish I had some more construct effects. The boxing glove was good. I wish I had a lantern. I think I would pose him, holding the lantern up with the ring to it. I think that there would honestly be some money to be made for McFarlane if he did like an accessory pack, like take a normal figure size box and just put in a bunch of stuff, a big mallet hammer, a power battery, some blast effects, some rockets. Sometimes they would like make a rocket and blast it off with their ring and stuff. Like I'm just picturing infinite things and sculpt them in a way to where they would kind of fit the majority, if not all, of the existing Lantern figures. I know some of them, like they did an animated Jon Stewart, like just because of the animated proportions, that might not work well. But any of the realistic figures probably have similar sized hands and stuff, so I would assume that if you did a one size fits most, you know, it would fit most, right? So I don't know. I think that would be really cool if that was something that was ever offered. I would absolutely grab that just to deck this Hal Jordan out. Or if he wanted to go really big and do like a deluxe thing and do like the core, like the main battery on Oa, you know, like the figure size or the taller, you know, the 10-inch tall, like light up battery, like that would be kick-ass. I would buy that 100%. So yeah, what do I think? You know, and like I said, never touched a McFarlane toy before tonight, other than maybe some really old Star Trek figures. I'm generally impressed. I do like this. I'm not a big DC guy, right? So don't expect any more McFarlane reviews. There genuinely might never be another one for me because, like, again, I'm a Hal Jordan guy. Unless he does a really, really cool Hal Jordan figure, I just don't need to do it. The one thing they could do is because they've done some animated styled figures, if they did like a wave to give us like our core characters from Green Lantern the animated series, which is something that I really, really like I would buy those animated style figures, you know, Hal, Kilowog, Razor, Aya, give us an Atrocitus and a Zox. Like, that's like a 6-figure wave right there. And, like, I think he does waves of 4, so maybe drop Atrocitus and Zox, you know, and just keep our, like, 4, you know, Interceptor crew core members. But, like, again, like, you know, totally reaching here. But, yeah, I'm just really impressed. I've been telling people forever that, like, I'm just waiting for him to do a single-pack Hal Jordan because he did one packed with a Green Lantern Batman that I just did not want. So this is finally him doing what I want. So I put my money where my mouth is, and I bought it, and I'm really impressed. And I think that if you try it, you'll probably like it too. So that's it for now. Thanks so much for watching. It means a lot that you did. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe, all the end of video stuff. You know the drill. I'm going to go work on something else. So until next time, may the force be with each and every one of you, and goodbye.